What do you think? What do you think, Joey, out of 5? Yeah. Yeah, actually, Trish wrote it for me. Let me walk you through why I wrote what I did real quick, because I'm kind of thinking as I go here. This is probably the most important combined approach. Why is it combined? Wes, why would I say combined? Yeah, it's because it's the account-based everything concept. When I say combined, it's a joint approach strategy where we literally sit with a field marketing guy, a sales development guy, and a salesperson in the same room. We come up with a strategy. So it needs to be a combined approach strategy. Now, targeted accounts, I think, makes sense. The problem I'm feeling like is when I ask people how they figure out targeted accounts, it's kind of, well, I mean, you laughed, Jen. I mean, what does it mean to come up with a targeted account?
So in my company right now, it's based on
Watch it.
revenue and are the products and the goods sold in the account that fit some specific variables that will help us determine is it the target company.
Yeah. I mean, there's varying ways to do that, and I do want to talk about it a little bit, but I feel like most of it's this. You know, it's a random. I mean, we say targeted, but it's no different than these guys happen to be my territory, and I'm going to go after them. So I like to have a more scientific targeted. I love personalized communication. I've actually thought that account-based prospecting is actually maybe shortened and condensed to just personalized prospecting. Maybe that's how short you could go. It's just a more personal way of doing something. And then generate qualified pipeline is focusing specifically on the qualification. Now, I wanted to hit this because I think this is probably the crux of it, and this is where I said I'm putting Trish on the spot. Because, God, even in our own company, we've debated this. Craig, you know a little bit about this. I feel like people are feeling like they have to go either or. You know, it's a craze. And it was Jason, right? You know, I don't know exactly how your business looks, but I don't think you have to have all or nothing. It doesn't have to be account-based sales development or account-based, or it doesn't all have to be high velocity. You can differentiate it, and I think Trish has hit the iron on maybe a way you can start to think about should you or should you not tackle account-based marketing. Any color you can add to kind of the quote you have here, Trish, about, I mean, you know.
So it's account-based everything.
Right.
Right? And what people are starting to think, I think you said it well, was when they're thinking about ABSD, all they're doing is going sequentially, linearly, after multiple people in the same account with your sales development team. That's account-based stupid.
Yeah.
Okay? So what if you really get into it, John Miller is just really for engagement.
Yeah.
Talk about this. Really, you have to have a big price tag too because it's expensive. So let's say the example I gave you today that John Miller sent me, the CEO of your company sells the CEO of your target company a bottle of wine. Then follows up with an email. At the same time, the AE is inviting the VPs of all the functional areas you want to go after to an executive breakfast. At the same time, the sales development rep is going after a set of contacts to find out what is currently in place, how are you off with change? You're using, events and direct mail, and you're going after an account, making a significant investment to get them. That's why it doesn't make sense for low price point.
Because it's so expensive. Yeah. Yeah. Everybody give Trish a round of applause. Did you see that? She gave one of these at the end.
What's the definition of a strategic?
Of a what? I didn't hear that.
But it's more than ASP. So it's strategic, or it's strategic to your company, and you're willing to make the investment in acquiring your customers.
And I think that's one of the things people are going to have to wrestle with. Are you a transactional? Are you a relational business? What's the definition? I like this 50K. I think that's a great place to kind of start and say, what is my deal size? If I'm typically above 50K, we could probably also go to sales cycle. You know, if you're an 18-month sales cycle, I'm going to probably say that you should be doing an account-based model. If you're a one-call close, I'm probably not going to push you in that direction. So figuring out transactional versus relational is going to be the deciding factor, and I would encourage you to let your business, I mean, at DocuSign, I think you guys have been able to say, we have a transactional business. I mean, you have actually with your SDRs, right? I mean, you kind of look at it a little more transactional, a little more relational, or no?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's, you can have both sides too, right? I mean, our transactional side is more that SMB group.
Or an SMB group, right.
Deal size too. We could have a small deal in the enterprise space. So, the account-based prospecting side of it is we have this group of individuals who's going after the big piece of the pie of the organization.
And be, I think, open to have both a transactional as well as a relational business. So, I don't know if I want to take questions from the smart guy in the back. All right, go ahead.
If it's based on price, so you have to have two separate teams.
What I'm saying is I'd like to see more of that. One of the things I'm nervous about, and I've been telling a couple of you in the room, is you don't have to be all account-based. I mean, our business is a good example. Let's use InsideSales.com. In our SMB, our average deal size is like 11,000. 11 to 14, I think it varies on the quarter. That shouldn't be an account-based model. And we would be mistaken, I think, to try to do it that way. I think we need to recognize we have a transactional team, and we need to go high velocity that way. And that's faster sales cycle, that's more quantity, less quality. However, we brought on Jim Steele, Dave Rudnitsky. These guys, they're closing, VMwares, and it's 12-year sales cycles, and I don't know what they're doing. They just cost a lot of money. I'm just kidding. Don't tell Jim I said that. That's got to be, you got to have relational. So I think you can have both. I don't mean to puncture that too much, but I think it's super important. So this is, I'm a process map, you guys. I've created probably 200 of these. I'd like to do it in PowerPoint. Some people like to do it in yeah, thank you. Lucid chart. Lucid, Giphy, whatever. I'm just a PowerPoint guy. Am I a PowerPoint guy, Gigi? I just like to play with PowerPoint. Sometimes when I'm alone, I play with PowerPoint. It's just who doesn't? Who said that? Let's talk after. Yeah, me and you after. We're going golfing. This is my version of a process. I got to see it in a process, or I can't do it. I got a 12-step process for account-based prospecting. Now, again, I've tried to encompass it with some other concepts around account-based everything, but I've honed a little more on the sales development, and I want to walk you through, just as kind of Trish was with some examples of literally how we would go from phase 1 right here, there I am with phase 2, and then right into phase 3. I really feel like where people go wrong is in phase 1, so I want to spend the most time here. I'll touch a little bit here, and then I'm not even going to bother with that there. So phase 1, let's go through this. So I'm starting from the top down. Create buyer personas in partnership with marketing. I am a believer that you need to understand who your target audience actually is. How do you do that? Here's my kind of quick 4 or 5 step process. You need to have a team that sits down and says, I got a marketing guy, I got a sales guy, I got an ops guy. We get a little bit of a persona team. Review predictive. I want to just predictive scoring on accounts and contacts. We offer a product called Neurolytics. I am a believer that predictive can be pretty darn powerful in being able to say, look at all of my past accounts. Tell me which vertical is best. Let me look at my best contacts and help me understand who am I selling with to the most. That's a quantitative way to help you determine kind of your target accounts, but also start to think about what type of people are buying from you. Have some brainstorming sessions. Get some qualitative and quantitative research. You got to go interview users. You got to interview your salespeople. Get some of that feedback via stakeholder interviews, and then throw it together in a nice PowerPoint. It's got to be PowerPoint, or it is not official. Get it in a PowerPoint document and make it a persona. End of story. Let's not make this more complicated. Now, you create personas, identify target accounts, ideally using predictive analytics. I think that's a helpful tool that could be available there. You want to do the same thing on contacts. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with predictive analytics, what that's basically pulling in and saying is, let me scroll through your Salesforce, your database, your Microsoft Dynamics. Let me look at all your accounts and tell you what type of DNA you're typically buying from the most so that you can sell more to those types of entities. That sounds like a target account, Gabe. That is. That's kind of what that is. If you've got a tool like that, use it, because I think predictive analytics can and should help you in identifying target accounts. Now we get into the fun stuff. So I've got the personas. I kind of know who and what I'm going after. This is kind of where the magic happens and where I feel like people go wrong. And in that original analysis, this is where they, I think, went wrong. They just went into contacting. This is where you create account-based marketing and account-based sales strategy together. And I want to walk you through some of those components. I think Trish hit on it. Here's a couple of the concepts. You need to assign personas. Sales development, you go there. CEO, you go here. Account executive, you go here. Marketing, you land and expand there. We're going to go, this is our attack strategy. Let's all go together. You want to designate tasks, and we'll talk about kind of a strategic cadence. You want to create a governance structure. This body of people will be meeting weekly to talk about how we're attacking these accounts in the strategic manner that we've set up in this account-based model. Then you got to build your offers. And this is, I feel like I've never seen it anywhere. I'm always seeing sales development reps build their own emails, and they've got their own cadence strategy. And their cadence strategy, they send one random email on call 2, and then another email that has nothing to do with it on call 6. And it's like, that's not a campaign. What I'm talking about here is creating a strategic outreach initiative, and then you build offers to associate to that initiative, and I'm giving an example in just a minute, and then you start to use those offers in the strategic cadence based on the persona. Now, I'm going to touch on this last, but I do believe in an account-based model that if you're getting inbound leads that are associated with target accounts need to go to the target account owner. That's going to be hard to do. That's going to be a little hard in Salesforce. Comments on that? No, well, I don't. I mean, if you think it's easy, I think it's easy. Well, sometimes it's a little, the routing rules within a CRM are a little bit messy. You can go talk to Aptus about that. I think sometimes tactically putting it into a CRM is a little bit different. But yeah, if it's a process set in stone, it is. Kevin, comment on that? What's your thought?
No, I was just going to say, I totally agree with that. We have our inbound guys, but it is not very fun to do the manual routing, but that's one of the ways that we're able to get these leads in with the target account that we, especially being enterprise, we've got it routed so it goes straight to the
You were able to get right in there. I like that, you guys. And Trish, I don't know your opinion on that. I mean, I still feel like you should have a inbound response team that takes the rest of the stuff. But I think you need to be able to, where you can, you'll never be 100% accurate, get those target accounts and see if you can't get them to the owner. Because again, with all the outreach strategy we're doing, and to Trish's point, maybe the breakfasts or the luncheons, if someone happens to go on a website and download it and then some random guy reaches out, that's not part of my mojo. That messes up my mojo. I got this initiative. Let's kind of follow through on that. So I'm a believer that you try to route that in play to keep that tight. So let me give you kind of this, because I think this is a little bit of the crux. This where you bring together that account-based marketing and account-based sales strategy and see if you can't then begin executing on it. So I've put it in a 7-step process. I always like Ken Krogh. He's got his closers model. If you didn't get his book, I definitely recommend it. I always think things can kind of fit into that. So you want to assign that team. Let's all get in a room. Who are we attacking? Then we want to review that target account list. You know, who are we going after? What's the persona that we're thinking of going after? Then let's go and attack a strategy. And I'm going to give you an example, and I think this will cement it. So here's my 7 steps. 1, you get a campaign name. So for me, my example is going to be response time optimization. For those of you who don't know, InsideSales.com, we have this tool called Response Audit. I can go onto your website. I can submit an entity, and then I track how fast you respond, how many times you call it and email it. It is such a great lead gen tool. Like, I can just go onto your website right now, submit it, and then I can call you up and be like, hey, do you want to know your response time? Because I have it here. Yeah. CMOs and head of demand gen really like this tool. So I'm going to call this campaign response audit optimization or response time optimization. Okay, step 2, target accounts. We need to be able to determine who we're actually going to go after. So for me, I'm going to say my top 10 in this instance, right? Let's say I've gone through that process. I know I'm going after the top 10, and they meet the criteria that we've talked about before. Great. Now, step 3, offer strategy. And again, this is where the rubber meets the road on the offer strategy. Here's a couple examples. I think Trish hit on it a little bit earlier. I've put it as primary and secondary. It's a little wordy, but stick with me for a second. So primary, we're going to do a local CMO breakfast. That's going to be one of my primary. Primary 2, we're going to do a personalized response audit with an award. Because what you can do with response audit, it's really fun. I've done this a couple times. So I'm going to take Trisha's website. We're going to go on there. We do a response audit. Then I'm going to send her the results with like a cool trophy. It's like a physical trophy she's going to get in the mail, and it's going to be either she's good or she's bad. If it's bad, it is what it is, but we're going to like put it in a nice box, and we got this fun report. We're going to send it to her, and it's going to be personalized to her. It's a cool offer that I think she's really going to like. Great. But then we've got a lead response study that we can potentially include as one of our email drops. Then we've got a best practice guide for responding to leads that is another offer that we can put in our strategic cadence that we're going to talk about. Then we're going to play with retargeting of all visitors. So this is where marketing is going to come in. They're going to be retargeting anybody who's associated with some of these activities that hits the website. Then marketing is also going to be creating kind of a general response drip campaign. So you can see I've started to think through strategically some sales development offers, some marketing offers, and potentially some sales offers so that we can start to think strategically about how we would execute on this account-based sales development model. Okay, next. Oops. Now we need to assign personas to different roles. So that basically looks like this. Okay, great. I've got this in place now. I think Trish hit on this perfect. Decision maker, CMO, account executive is going to take that person. Influencer, head of demand generation, the sales dev is going to take that person. And then we've got an influencer, head of sales development. We're going to have sales development take that as well. So we assign out the different personas to the people to make sure we've got coverage on that account. Great. Next, almost last. Assign specific tasks to the different roles. So you're an account executive. You now know you own the CMO. What are going to be some of the tasks that you come up with? And this is what it kind of looks like here. So you basically say, I want a personalized cadence strategy by persona that includes different offers with context. Let me give you an example. It would look a little bit like this. So let's say we've got a buyer persona who's an executive. Let's say this is maybe the CMO. I'm going to be I'm the sales development rep. I happen to be these types of attributes. This is the cadence I've defined over 30 days. I typically am a believer in a strategic or account-based model. A cadence should run over 30 days. That's kind of how I've designed it. And then I've built on each day, I'm going to do different touch points. Notice I name all my cadences with these types of formats. It goes from aggressive to passive. So what you're seeing is a 6-3-4-3. That's phone, 6 phone, voicemail, email, social. It goes from aggressive to passive on, and I always like to name my cadences, but that's the way I felt like I can do it. Because again, per persona, you're going to want different cadences. We can't just follow the same thing. You want to do it differently. Now, what this allows me to do is, okay, over 30 days, I've got my cadence. Now I can strategically put in my different offers, right? Marketing's helped me create these. I talked to you about my lead response study, our best practice document. I can use these strategically in my outreach, and all of a sudden, all of the messaging here becomes combined around the campaign strategy called response optimization. So we're attacking that persona with this strategy of response optimization. I hate it. I hate it when I hear these sales development reps call 1, they try one thing. Call 2, they try another thing. Email 4, go with a strategy for 30 days. Run your strategy. Then you can come back together and say, now let's run another outreach initiative. And this time it's going to be sales acceleration, or this time it's going to be training. But first time it was all around response audit. The material, the messaging, the retargeting, the breakfast, the voicemails, the emails. The email award, I mean, Trish said it's expensive. This is expensive. I mean, are you seeing the kind of, this is not, God, I mean, I get so frustrated, you guys, because this is account-based strategy. I mean, this is work. This is effort. If you think you're doing account-based strategy and you're identifying accounts and making 4 phone calls on a random contact, that's not account-based sales development. I'm getting ticked, Trish. Seriously. Sorry. This guy's had his hand up for like an hour. I had to get off my soapbox. I just want to get this out. Yeah, seriously. I'm going to like kick this. What? Dude, who invited this guy? Seriously. So how do you govern the cadence?
Variety of vendors who are now specifically creating technology.
I mean, yeah, cadence, you guys, is like, it's a bigger buzzword than account-based. I mean, did you see it? So our newest product, right, Playbooks. Yeah, so actually in the Power Dialer, utilizing Sequeless, you can create a cadence strategy. And you can talk to me about that after. Sorry? It's not that complicated.
Or within the CRM.
It's kind of...
Workflows that walk you through just as well and stuff.
But you definitely want, I think you're on the right track because you need something that does encourage you or allows you to manage this cadence strategy. And I think a lot of people are buying these vendors, they're buying these solutions. The problem is this is just, what did you call it, Tricia? What do your reps call it when you give them these tools? And it's like, I called it Cowboy Town. And it's just, I mean, it's a free-for-all, right? It's a hot mess. That's what she said. I mean, you give a rep these great tools, and then you let them do whatever they want. Guys, that's not account-based. That's not what I'm talking about. That's Cowboy Town is what I call it. It's a place just up the road in Park City.
The other thing, John Miller today, when I sent him that email late, he said the piece you're missing, Trish, is executives. It's not just AEs, not just
Yeah.
You have to get your executives into this.
How can you assign? So thinking of like that CMO, the account executive isn't just going to reach out, but we may have the CMO to CMO reach out. He needs to be part of that. I love that. That's a good comment. Leo.
By definition, when you do this, your volume is going to go down. So
Yeah.
how do you reset your goals before, how do you get the executives to buy in? You need to try this. They don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to lower the goals. For the
Yeah, well, that's the beautiful thing about you deciding your model. An account-based model, the compensation for like sales development reps is going to be different. I mean, if you're going on accepted opportunities, you're not looking at 40 per person. What are you guys doing right now? Per person per month, accepted opportunities. 32. That's not an account. He's not running a team that's an account-based model. You're looking at 4, 8, maybe a 2 in some cases.
Lots of them are basing it on revenue.
Or you may just go, you may move to a comp plan that is more revenue-based, where we say, hey, if we're serious about this, then we'll go, how well do we do as a team? So that's where, I mean, it's a strategic decision, but you got to understand that the process is significantly different. The comp plan is significantly different. The tools are significantly different. And I feel like those 3 areas, people just mess it up all the time. It's like they think one sales process can match it all, and it just typically can't. Okay? So I'm a big believer in a strategic cadence. I think everybody knows. Who here does not know the word cadence? Nobody. Good. Everybody knows the word cadence. The thing is, I don't like Cowboy Town cadence. I want a strategic cadence laid out, and I want marketing to support you on it so that we're talking about response optimization throughout this entire strategy. This is what the sales development rep, in particular, would be doing. Now, the account executive would have a different strategy. The marketing team would probably have a different strategy as part of this. I'm just giving you one example of what maybe a sales development rep would do as part of this account-based strategy. Okay. Now, last but not least, I am a believer that you want to be measuring this, and you want to try to keep a strong governance around it. If you only meet once and try to do this, it's just not going to work together. You need to get that field marketing rep or your sales rep, come together and see if you can't get a real strategic plan that you can outline and then meet regularly to determine how that's actually playing out. So again, I think that first part is where most people are going awry on account-based sales development because it's work. It's work. It takes time. And we just are not ready for that. I mean, sales and marketing, we're not aligning. We're leaving sales development reps to do this on their own, and they're making a crapshoot of it. It's just messy. So that's where I think if you're serious about this, spend your most time thinking strategically about how to set it up, then this becomes a little bit easier. Now there's some tools. We've popped some new ones out because I think if I've got all of that set up, and I'm a sales development rep. Great. Now I sit down, and I need to be able to not have to go to 50 different websites. Charlie app, Wikipedia, the company's website, LinkedIn. It's too much time. It's not going to work. Triggers, I'm trying to monitor my own triggers. I need to be able to, as a sales development rep, sit in a cockpit and be able to have real-time intelligence feeds coming to me about trigger events, that's job changes, company funding, but also I need the LinkedIn coming to me. I need to be able to see that view so that I can more appropriately know how I can best target my talk track potentially as I reach out. So I'm a big believer in getting more of that real-time intelligence feed. Number two is, I'm calling it pipeline views. Because this is strategic enough, we're finding that most people, and maybe we could take a quick poll here, are you working in a leads object or are you working in an accounts object within your CRM? Leads? Oh, thanks, buddy. I think in an account-based model, it is best to probably be in the account object. It just allows you to see things more holistically. If you're in that, you've got to be able to have contact statuses. You won't probably have opportunity stages yet. Trish, thanks so much. Everybody, give Trish a round of applause. Trace, she hates when I do that. I don't care. What was I saying? Oh, for this, you don't have an opportunity yet, so you need to have contact statuses that literally allow you to monitor where people are kind of in a pipeline view. So that when I sit down as a sales rep, I kind of, just like an account executive, I know where my people are in the funnel so that I can more strategically attack them. And then this is where kind of the rubber meets the roll, where you actually start that cadence that I talked about, execute a persona-based outreach program for targeted accounts, following the cadence I basically just outlined. That's kind of where you've got to have your reps be able to sit down and have this business command center view, right, where you can kind of see everything and do it and be able to know where people are in their different cadences, know what's going on with the company. We've got to get better with technology, and I think if you saw our new product coming out around Superhero, it's this. That's what it is. It's a business command center where a strategic rep can sit down. I'm doing this because I'm thinking of like sitting, sit down and be able to really manage his business from one view. Okay, now last but not least, we get to the end here. The only thing I wanted to mention, especially if you're running a sales development shop, we've just got to get tighter around the qualification. Everybody knows lead scoring. That's a term we're all familiar with. You're going to be hearing more around prospect scoring. That's a way to determine, I know the handoff between marketing and sales has a lead score. I actually need a score between sales development and account executive, and that's called a prospect score. I've got about a dozen clients doing it, and it's a way to quantify objectively the handoff process from sales development to account executive. If you'd like to hear more about that, I'll let you know, but it's a way more strategic way to run kind of a specialized model, and I think you'll be hearing more about that. You set up the appointment, or you go ahead and then create the opportunity. So here's my 12 steps to be successful for account-based sales development or account-based prospecting. Creating buyer personas. 2, identifying target accounts through predictive scoring. I'm just reading them to make sure I got them right here. 3, pinpoint the right contacts and the right number of contacts. You guys, right number of contacts. 600 is typically what people are talking about. Most sales development reps can manage about 600 active contacts if you're humming. But it's all a capacity game. You got to figure out what you can manage. It's not just about who, it's about how many. You bring people in and out. That would be your active pipe. So you bring people in and out of that. Create account-based marketing and account-based sales strategy. Assign personas, designate tasks, create governance, build targeted offers and associated plays for each persona. These probably are the 3 most missed because we don't want to work with marketing. That's why. So sales development reps are creating their own emails, they're creating their own cadences, they're creating their own offers, and it's garbage. It's just garbage. Provide real-time intelligence feeds, provide complete pipeline views, execute that persona-based cadence, design a qualification process, data. We talked about rerouting inbound leads and then provide real-time feed. Guys, that's a good list. I think that's actually a good list. I mean, I've thought a lot about it. I think that's pretty decent. Thoughts on that? Craig, what do you think about that? Why did I start with you? Let's go somewhere else, actually. No. Yeah. What do you think about this logo here, Craig? I was thinking, yeah. No, actually, no. In all seriousness,
You know, and I've made a ton of notes, and as much as you and I have worked together, I learn every time you teach, and there's specific things specifically about the account, the sales strategy. I took the account and redesigned my sales team to include a marketing person, maybe even a business intelligence person, sort of focusing on the right, and this becomes a little model.
it has to. It has to, you guys. You know, you won't be able to create. I don't think you can change reporting structures, meaning you're not going to have a marketing guy report to you. I'm open to that, by the way. I know HubSpot has actually gone to that model where they have mid-market Mary is what they call it. It's an internal persona where that person over the marketing, the sales, and the client success all roll up to one person. I think it's an interesting model, but in our own business, I think we can do better here. Jennifer, thoughts on this? I just remembered her name, so I thought I'd call on her.
No, you're right. We do have a strategic team at my company, and so this is for that manager to, I'm giving her ideas.
To kind of get some of those ideas. Kevin, what do you think, man?
I think it's a really good goal, the execution that really.
It's rubber meets the road.
But as far as creating a perfect goal, it really is, that there's some areas where you're definitely going to have pushback. So what are you going to do? Where are you going to give? Where are you going to continue forward just to get results?
Yeah, because honestly, guys, I don't know. I can maybe think of one company, and it's probably Engagio who's doing this well.
So we have used this model from our CEO down. The company strategy is all in.
Yeah, it's account-based everything.
Account-based everything.
She's with pros.
So what it looks like in 25 seconds or less is my ADRs, SDRs are aligned to each industry, and each industry is consistent of field sales reps.
Yeah,
With an industry solution marketing person, dotted line.
you do. You got the.
Marketing, and then a demand gen person who's industry specific. So we have that.
Wow. Seriously. Well, if you really want to be successful, a structure, a dotted line structure probably is going to be pretty darn important.
I guess one question for you on that is, as I look at this, you can get into a pretty complicated marketing stack pretty quickly. You think about ABM, and it's hard to tell, what is necessary to launch with versus what you build on it.
Great question.
Engagio is one that we've been looking at as sort of just a little bit of a dashboard or performance elements to understand is this working, is it not, which contacts are actually engaged, where you focus. Has that been an important tool within your staff?
I think did you just start?
We just rolled it out last quarter, and we are using it as
We're done. 2 minutes.
account development organization and sales and marketing. These are all focused on cost, and we look at the engagement behavior, and we look at the most target account, and actually focus on terms for that. So we are actively using it.
I'm going to be following up with Jen because I'd like to kind of hear that because I think that combo is pretty powerful. You're right. It gets complicated with the marketing stack. Question, comment.
So I mean, I think I know the answer, but I just want to clarify this back. So you're talking about basically 3 different positions for sales development, and someone that just handles leads, someone that actually is sourcing, and then someone that's handling accounts.
So not just for sales development. I was kind of going through a specialized model where you'd have like a demand generation person or a field marketer who's more in charge of generating demand, a sales development rep who's probably focusing on your influencers, focusing on qualifying, and then that account executive who's probably aligned with the executive team and really working any legitimate opportunity once it pops up. That's kind of, I think, a nice little account-based team, account-based prospecting team. Last couple comments. Jason, comment? Any thoughts on that? Good. Comment. Yeah, please.
Just one question is, for companies that are trying to figure out how to test their way
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, hey, we'll talk later.
how to test their way to prove their way into this. As you go through step 2 and identifying target accounts, have you seen anyone effectively sort of A/B test that? So whether it's at the rep level, say these reps get this, tool and these don't, and we're going to sort of put the two together, whether there's sort of 20 accounts, 10 get ABM, 10 don't, and sort of measure the list over time. Have you seen anyone effectively?
I mean, I love the concept of A/B testing it. I would stay away from tool. I think the problem, I mean, I work for a tech company, so forgive me, but I think the problem is we often go too fast to tools. I'd prefer you think about what Jen just talked about, and that's structure, reporting. Let's see if we can identify the accounts, run a little bit of a strategy where we come up with 3 or 4 offers that we're going to attack with them, see how those results work versus someone else's territory where they're just kind of doing mass blast, and then compare the two. That's probably a decent way to A/B test. But guys, the tools, I'm not picking on you, but it's just sometimes too much tools. Let's get the process, let's get the structure, then I'm okay to talk about tools. But I think most of this is not all tools. There's a lot of strategy. That's the problem with personalized prospecting. You'll never be able to tool. You just can't. That award that we send with the response audit, what? Like, there's no tool for that. You got to create it.
A/B test, I don't think it's with tools. It's like,
How do you set it up?
and how you look at the data. I agree on this. I mean, my sense is a lot of the existing tools already, like Salesforce and Marketo, are
They provide.
very good A/B tools already.
But I think you're right. There's not a lot of tools designed specifically for account-based everything. I think there's a little bit of a miss
Going
there.
back to what Dan mentioned on the keynote today, and when we were at Oracle, taking his business from 40 million to 400, it was the Massachusetts team that he tested this with. And he had no tools. It was just, let's dig into the...
Yeah, that's right. Take one team and let's see if we can't do it.
Test and fail fast and iterate, right?
Guys, appreciate it. Let me know if you have questions. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to continue the dialogue. Give yourself a hand. Very engaging. Appreciate it.